Well, there's no problem. If you had a gun, shoot him in the head.
Welcome to Shoot Me Straight with Dave Fields, Eddie Gallagher. We got our good buddy Jim Hood here. He is overall just awesome buddy, good friend. I do jiu-jitsu with him. He's been really good friends with Eddie. Owns a suppression silencer company for guns. Also spent time in mortgage industry. And from there has really been kind of an entrepreneur. Did construction, has owned several companies. Really successful, also just an awesome attitude, and overall just human being. I'm really excited to hear his story because I don't know it in detail. And, yeah, anything else you want to add?
Nope, I'm stoked. Jim is I think you were the first person I met when I came down here, you and Kendall.
Remember that well.
Yes. We went out for dinner, and then you introduced me to exactly how Florida is. And, ever since I've got to know you, you are definitely top 3 most interesting people that I've ever been around. I describe you to everybody I know as the ultimate Florida man, man of many talents, including baking cakes, which is I think it's the hidden talent that nobody knows about unless you've been over to your house and seen the cakes that you baked for your kids. But I'm excited to have you on, man. You're a good buddy, always have been, and just glad to have you here.
They always say end on a good note, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up now?
Yep, that's it. We're done.
You bake cakes?
Excited to be here, guys. I appreciate the invite. Yes, I bake cakes. I bake 2 a year for my kids and my kids only.
Oh, they are works of art, bro. Like, I can't even do them justice by describing them. But yeah, they all the other dads that show up for his kids' birthday parties are put to shame for sure.
Well, it's a labor of love, definitely. It only takes me about 10 or 12 hours to do one.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the last you did? The last one you did was the Pelican case, right?
The Pelican
for
case.
Trace.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it was sick. You had like the whole Black Rifle coffee stuff on there, all the patches. I mean, it's like so detailed. You literally could be on your own show with that.
That ain't happening. Yeah. I don't love it that much.
Yeah.
The kids, yes, not the cakes. We paid for our first kid's birthday cake on his first birthday, and I got the bill on that, and I'm like, that's not happening again, ever. So now I spend 3 times that and 12 hours doing it. So,
Wow.
One of those things.
Yeah. So give us some background. Where'd you grow up?
Grew up Bay County. As I refer to myself, I'm the D student from Bay County. Graduated high school with a 1.7 GPA. Went to community college there, took 3 remedial courses and failed 2 of them for lack of attendance. Needless to say, school is not my thing. So I went to work for a bank, and that's what most people do when they don't do good in school. Spent 20 years in that career. And finished it in mortgage industry. I was vice president of mortgage lending for Alabama and Florida for a rather large bank up north. Mm-hmm. And I was invited to seek happiness elsewhere when the bank was sold in 2012, and started doing my own thing. We started flipping houses, got to where I couldn't depend on the subs, so I opened a construction company, got my contractor's license, opened up a bunch of other subcontracting companies, and some made it, some didn't, closed some, kept some.
Yeah.
So the suppressor industry was one of them that I wanted to get into, so we broke into that in 2016.
What made you want to get into suppressors?
I've always loved guns.
Oh, you don't say.
No, it's just kind of my thing. We'll have to talk about our first dinner date.
Oh yeah, well, I'll get into that right now.
Go ahead.
So yeah, I obviously moved here from California, and Andrea.
Welcome to America.
Yep, Andrea and the kids they had already been out here for a bit, and then Andrea had met you and Kendall, your wife, through Gateway, I believe.
Yep.
And so I got here, and she's like, "Oh, I met this couple. They're really cool. We'll go out, have some drinks," and which we did. We went out and met up, and then I believe, you drove us home that night, mm-hmm. and we pull up in my driveway, and I'm fresh out of California at this point, and he's like, "You got any guns in the house?" And I was like, "No," because at the time NCIS had all my stuff still, because I was still dealing with all that mess. And he's like, "Oh, can't have that." We go out. He pulls an arsenal out of the back of his truck. I mean, it was like more guns than a SEAL platoon had. And he's like bringing them out. He's like, "How about you want this one? Take this one." and he has his suppressors along with him, so he's putting them on the pistols, and then he just he proceeds to fire off the gun into our neighbor's lawn, like to show me how quiet the suppressors are. That's when I knew. I was like, oh shit. I was like, we're in Florida. I was
The free state.
Awesome. Yeah.
I think every man needs to have the equipment to properly defend his family and his house.
You are correct.
You did not have that.
No, I didn't.
When I left, you did.
Oh, I had more than enough.
Yes, you
Still
did.
do.
Good.
Yeah.
That's what it needs to
My
be.
man. Yeah. That was my introduction to Jim Hood, and I've loved him ever since. I'm like, this is awesome.
The lasting memory.
Yeah.
You always loved guns. Did you just get into it when you were a kid? Were you a hunter?
I didn't grow up hunting because my dad wasn't around when I was a kid. My grandfather was essentially my dad most of my life. We fished all the time. Now, we had guns, and I would shoot a little bit here and go hunting with some friends, but I always just loved pulling the trigger. Love the smell of burnt gunpowder, hitting your target downrange. It's just always been a passion. And when I realized how much I didn't know, I wanted to know more, so I wanted to get in the industry. So we started Elevated Silence in 2016. We released our first suppressor in 2019.
Yep. You're an avid hunter as well.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Like going all over. If I can eat it, I'll kill it.
That's what I'm saying.
If I can eat it, it'll go down.
Oh yes. Yeah. You said the suppressor company. You said 2016.
Yep, that's when we opened it.
Yeah.
We started it. We were just going to buy and sell suppressors, other people's stuff, and then had my feet up on my desk in 2017. And God put an idea in my head for a specific baffle stack because I was toying with different suppressors and why can't it do this? Why can't it do that?
What's a baffle stack?
I'm sorry. The inside of suppressor, it's kind of like a muffler. Okay. It's what actually takes the gases and cools them off before expending at the end of the barrel. So that's the why behind the what on the inside of the can.
Is it like almost like just metal rings or something?
It's a series of rings and cones, different vents. There's different things you can play with to make them quieter, less gas in the face, and a litany of things can go into a suppressor. All depends on the end user and what they want. But after he put that idea in my head, I thought, okay, let's try this. Long story short, I got a hold of an engineer, drew it out on a napkin. He made me 1, 2, and 3 prototypes, tested the first one. That's exactly what I wanted. So we're off to the races. It's a long race, too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a very long race.
Those suppressors are nice though. I mean, I have them on my guns. They're legit.
I like them a lot.
Yeah.
If you don't shoot suppressed, you're uncivilized.
Exactly. It's a gentleman's way of shooting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No ear pro required, which is a plus.
Big time.
Yeah.
Changes the way you hunt, changes the way you shoot.
Yeah, it just makes it all around more comfortable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you shoot, does it take away from the how far it goes, or does it mess with like the range at all?
So there's actually 2 explosions that happen, 2 loud noises that happen when you fire a gun. You got the initial primer strike on the inside of the barrel that ignites the powder and propels the bullet out of the barrel. That's one explosion. When that bullet hits supersonic speed, you hear the crack. But it happens so quick with an unsuppressed rifle, people just hear the gunshot. So the suppressor will take that initial explosion from the inside of the barrel in that can, cool those gases off through the baffle stack, through those series of cones and vents. And before that bullet leaves, it contains it and then expels it. So at the ear, it's a lot more pleasurable. It takes that big bang away. The crack's still going to happen downrange because you're still breaking the sound barrier. But other than that, it makes it very pleasurable. It takes a lot of the recoil out. So a lot of female shooters, when they want to get into hunting and shooting, it takes a lot of their jump out.
Yeah.
Because they're not scared of it as much anymore.
How much of an effect does it have, like on like zeroing in your gun with your suppressed or unsuppressed?
So a lot of them will have a point of impact shift. We have minimized that as much as we possibly can. They're still minimum at 100 yards. So you're probably looking at a quarter of an inch, quarter MOA as they call it.
Okay.
Some have inch, some have 2 inch. Some of these fly-by-night suppressor companies, I mean, you can't even shoot your rifle unsuppressed after you zero it with their cans.
Yeah. Yeah, I found that. I mean, in the last career I had, we would obviously roll suppressed everywhere, but a lot of the times during training we would take the suppressors off, just so we don't burn them out, obviously. Right. But a lot of the shooting we did was close quarters, so it really wasn't too much of an impact. But I know, like, out at distance, that definitely would have a huge impact.
Yeah, once you get past the 100-yard mark, it can make a significant difference in your POI.
Yeah, that is correct.
But that's one thing we wanted to do with it is, I mean, many times you leave something at home when you're going hunting. You can leave your suppressor at home by accident and not think about it. When you get there, some people go, well, I'll be close enough. I don't like close enough.
No.
But I wanted to still be able to shoot. So.
So the answer to that is just zeroing in with the suppressor on, right?
You can, but if you choose to zero it without it and you put the can on, you're still going to be sub-MOA at 100 yards. You'll still be inside of an inch.
Gotcha. Who's most of your customers?
Right now we're dealing with a lot of individuals. We haven't broken into the military market or anything like that yet. We have 2 distributors we're going to start with here in the next couple of months. We got a lot of product in production right now, and as soon as we get our packaging together, we'll be in Silencer Shop and at Lipsy's.
Nice. Are you still? Is that one deal going on still that you were talking about earlier with Silencer
Shop?
Yep.
Yes, we went out and met with them.
Okay.
And learned the do's and the don'ts that they like. Yeah. Because they control over half of the suppressor sales in the United States. Because everybody knows that they can look in one website, Silencer Shop, and see all of the top cans on their site. And they handle all of the forms. They have streamlined the process unbelievably well.
Are they wanting more of a QD type suppressor, or like the ones you can just screw on?
Again, that goes to the end user. Mm-hmm. So we do have a new QD mount we're coming out with. I didn't want to be like everybody else and just utilize one.
Yeah.
So we have our own that is going to be compatible with several other popular brands. Some people like the direct thread. Several of our cans now you can have the option. You'll be able to take the direct thread off and put in your QD mount if you want, or you can put your direct thread back in and screw it directly on.
Yep. What are the do you know any like the pros and cons of having direct thread or QD lock? Like,
I know, like in your field, for instance, y'all did QD everything, didn't you? And nobody has ever said, I really like this QD. They just found a QD that sucked less than the other ones they've used. So that was the kind of thing I wanted to do, is find one that people actually liked. So we're working on it. And this is V1. V2 may be better. V3 may be better. We'll have to wait and see what the public likes.
Yeah, I mean, I really do like when you showed me the original suppressors you were coming out with, they were obviously the screw-on ones. Mm-hmm. I did like that fact that you didn't have to lock it on. But then I was also thinking, I'm like, the old profession is, obviously one, accountability of your suppressor which is huge, which is why I think they go with the QD locks and nobody loses them. But then the possibility of not screwing it on tight enough and then shooting that sucker off.
And it'll happen.
Yeah. Exactly.
It will happen. If you shoot enough, you will shoot a suppressor off the end of your gun.
Yeah. I've seen it done with the QD locks. I mean, it's just one of those things that's going to happen. You shoot it enough. Another
thing with the QDs that a lot of folks don't like is you'll have carbon buildup.
Oh, yes.
And you get enough of that and you'll carbon weld it on there.
Yep.
And you can't get it off.
Oh, I've done that. It's like an hour. It takes an hour just to even get that thing off. It's a pain in the ass.
You got to run a mag through it, heat it up, and then put gloves on to try to get it off while it's hot.
Yeah, no thanks.
And a 5.56 can will heat up in a heartbeat.
Oh yes, I got plenty of suppressor kisses on my legs from doing those drills where you drop your rifle and then go to your pistol and that suppressor just singes into your leg.
You smell something burning.
Oh yeah. Always a good time.
Been there, seen that.
So you have obviously married Kendall with 2 beautiful children, Trace and Annabelle. How's that dynamic?
That dynamic is very interesting when you have 2 type A personality parents, 2 ADHD kids. It's and I'm going to preach to the choir here. My 12-year-old boy is 100% boy.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't care if he bathes, doesn't care what he dresses like, wants to go play outside, wants to go fish, hunt, shoot. That's it.
Be a boy.
Be a boy, and I support that 100%.
Oh, yeah. I remember the first time I met him, watching him run around, I'm like, dude, he's got his own little Huck Finn over here just off in the woods hunting. He comes back with whatever animals he shot that day.
Yep.
But the good thing is he comes back and he cooks it up.
He'll clean it.
Yep.
He'll cook it. He'll serve it. He won't eat it.
Won't eat it. Yeah.
Won't eat it. He'll catch it, fishing, clean it, cook it, serve it. Won't eat it.
Yeah.
Grows a garden, fixes it, cooks it, serves it. Won't eat it.
Yeah, he's got a particular palate.
He has, and it's very narrow.
Yeah. I believe, was it chicken? Chicken,
That's it.
Yeah.
Chicken and peanut butter.
Oh, yeah. I've taken him to, where did I take him to?
Y'all did paintball or something, didn't you?
Well, I've taken them paintballing before. Yeah. I mean, that was probably one of my favorite memories, taking him, Ryan, and Torrin out there, and just ended up, it was out near Fort Walton, and they have that paintball park where a lot of the military guys go just to, like, I guess, go do paintball. They're all there in their kit and everything else, and it was me and those three boys, and I sat there and in the dirt, drew up, taught them how to shoot, move, and communicate within like a 10-minute class, and we destroyed everybody all day long. It was awesome.
Trace talks about that day still. Dave, there's 3 kids. There's Trace, Ryan, and another kid, Torrin, that run and play really hard together. And every time they're together, they always come up to me, hey, can we do such and such? Hey, do you have a such and such we can play with? And I'm like, no. And they goes, well, Trace said, you let me do it the other day. I said, yeah. I trust you, and I trust you. I don't trust y'all. Because together, nothing but trouble.
You're Ryan?
Oh, yeah. Brian, Trace, and Torrin. You know if those 3 take off somewhere, something's happening.
Nothing good ever comes of that. But they like going to the farm. I can turn them loose at the farm and not worry about it.
Don't add mine in there.
He would be
jump right in.
Yeah, he'd fit right in with that group, believe me.
Wild.
Bring it on. Let's go. They could use a 4th.
I love how my boy, I mean, of course, mine's a lot younger. Mine's only 4. He's going on 5. But, I mean, he's all boy, right? I mean, everything's a gun. If it's a coat hanger to every stick, I mean, he gets so excited when I just tell him, hey, let's go outside and let's get the bad guys, right? And he's like, it doesn't matter if TV's playing, anything. He's just,
Let's go.
He's down there, and he's got sticks, and he's like, Dad, here, take this one, and here, you need some more ammo, and, and just walking around pretending we're shooting bad guys. He is in heaven.
That means you're raising him right.
And I think of, like, I mean, today it's like suppressing that in young guys. It's, hey, you got to sit here in a class all day long, right? And he needs to learn how to sit there too, but like he's got to have these breaks where he goes and runs and plays and gets it out, but it doesn't seem like it's, I don't know. It's almost like putting down masculinity and not letting them just be boys. And that's a good thing.
And I don't think it has, I mean, I think there's definitely some of that, trying to bottle that masculinity or whatever you want to call it. But I also think the main thing is it's a way to get these kids to conform. And we were raised that way too, where it's like you will sit in that seat for an hour and listen to whatever the teacher's putting out. You can't move. You can't do anything, which for young boys and young girls, they're supposed to be out, exploring, doing whatever, running around. And society has tried to train all of us that it's like, no, you will sit down and listen and obey. And I'm completely against that whole aspect of it. I do think there's a time and place where you do have to, have some discipline and actually listen to what's going on. But at the same time, I'm like, kids are meant to be kids.
They got to be kids, and they have their own different way of learning.
Yeah, exactly. And every child's different.
Every single one of them.
Yep.
And sitting in a chair, that may work for some. Doesn't work for mine at all.
Yep, mine either.
At all.
Is it tough for you as a father, like how to guide him, right? Like really lead him, because you could hard-handed make them obey, right, on certain things, but that's like suppressing who they are instead of letting them flourish in who they are, but guide them?
It's real different for me because I knew how I was raised. And what do you want to do in life when you're teaching somebody something? You want to teach them the way you were taught. Well, just because he's a spitting image of me doesn't mean he's going to learn the way I'm going to learn. So in the beginning of his life, yeah, hard-handed. You're going to do it this way, and that's it. Why? Because that's what I said to do. It's not always the right way to do it. And another thing I've had to take a really big step back is I heard Rick Burgess one time say, you've got to remember to give the kids the things you didn't have instead of, I'm going to screw that up. Don't forget to give your kids the things you did have and quit trying to give them the things you didn't. Because look at everything we didn't have growing up. We turned out just fine. Just fine.
Debatable.
Well, good point. But it's the things that we forget about.
Yeah.
We want to spoil our kids. Yeah, you can take that a little too far, which I've done. But you also got to remember to give them the things you had, and I'm not talking about monetary things. I'm talking the values that you grew up with.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like my kids can walk in the door, and there'll be an AR laying on the table. Trace will look at it and say, "Tell me about that one." He doesn't touch it. He respects it because I've taught him to respect. Annabelle does the same thing. I've taught them to respect things. When people come in the house, they get up off the couch and they go speak. Eddie, when you come over.
Oh, yeah.
They get off the couch, they come speak. That's what they're supposed to do. That's one of those things that you have to, like you said, lead. You can't hard hand that. They have to see you do it, and then they're gonna follow suit. Flip side of that is do something stupid, and they're gonna follow suit.
Oh, they're always watching.
Always. And they never forget. They're like little elephants.
That's the beauty of parenting, though, man. It's same way. Obviously, Brian, the youngest now, is 13. So we got Trevin and Ava, who 22 and 18, and just going through raising all them, you grow as an individual too, learning how to parent. And I think we all go through the same thing where you try and instill this is the way I was raised, so this is the way I'm gonna raise you, no different. But you learn real quick, these kids aren't you, and they're going to do what they're going to do regardless of what you tell them. So the biggest thing I got out of parenting is, just like you said, instill your core beliefs, your core values. This is what I believe in, and this is what we believe in as a family. But eventually you're going to have to let them go. They're going to do what they're going to do, and you just hope that you instilled enough values in them to keep them on the straight and narrow path.
It goes to the old trust but verified. You got to give them room. After you laid your foundation with them, you got to give them room to bloom and to blossom and go do their thing and make them who they need to be. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, we let Trace get on the kayak and cruise down to the bridge to fish. When I was 12 years old, my parents would have never done that. But that's how I was raised. We didn't have that opportunity to do that. He does. So we're going to give him a little bit of scope there, and he can go do what he wants to do until that trust is broken. And they will break it.
Oh, yeah.
They will break it time and time. They'll throw it down, step on it, squash it, and set it on fire. And that way you got to bring them back. And when they want to do it again, no, you can't do that, and here's why you can't do that. And they learn their lesson, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully.
And you just go back to the grind again.
And you start it all over.
Yeah.
And we all got multiple kids. You got to do that multiple times a day.
Yeah. Yeah. What I'm seeing is to not hard hand, to guide, lead. I mean, it's work.
Make self-employment look easy.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
And the girls are going to be a lot different. I mean, you got girls. Annabelle had some birthday parties to go to on Saturday. When we got home Friday night, Kendall and I had a little date night. They're finally to the age we can leave them for a little bit. We came home and there was dishes in the sink. We specifically said, if there's dishes in the sink, you don't go to that party. Well, we gave her a little bit of grace, woke her up, because she went to bed early, woke her up, said, hey, if you want to go to the party, you got to get up and do the dishes. She got up and was very apologetic. Slipped her mind. Everybody deserves a little grace.
Yeah.
She got to go to her parties.
Yeah. At least she did the dishes. Yeah.
Dang right she did
got
the
it
dishes.
done.
Properly motivated, they'll do anything.
Yeah. That's a good example, though. I like that one because you didn't. You I would be tempted to go, hey, because I said this. So me and Francesca have a deal of saying, hey, if we say something, right, we fall through. If we're not going to fall through with it, let's not say it. Now we have butchered that at times, right? We've said something, we've fallen back. We're like, okay, we're like, sometimes it's been.
You mean you're human, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely, big time. But like, there's been, but instead of saying, okay, no, we're just gonna let it go and let it fly, the hardest route was in the middle, where you go and wake her up and say, hey, this is a little bit of grace. You can go do them right now, right? Then she's still doing it. You're still following through. That's a really good example.
How often do we got to be reminded of things? We get caught up in something, forget about it.
Hour to hour for me.
Every day, every day. But yeah, you got to give them a little grace.
Yeah.
And in turn, they got to give you grace when you lose your mind and really didn't have a point to lose your mind on.
Yeah.
Done that.
We had a guest here, I guess almost a month ago. He's got 6 kids. All 6 kids are grown. They're all really great. I say kids, young men and women now, and just picking his brain on parenting, because I'm ego out of the way. Like, hey, I'll take, if other people have success in some, like, hey, I'm open.
Success leaves clues.
And he said something that's changed. One thing he said that has, I don't know if the day goes by that I don't think about it. He says, you're not raising kids, you're raising adults. And that's something that's kind of almost been a framework for me since. But he talked about, hey, Dave, just similar to like you do with the business. He's like, hey, what's your end goal? What's your vision? He's like, and now work it backwards. And so I'm going, okay, at 18, 20, if I want them to know God, right?
100%.
I can't force that, right? The best way I can do that is lead in it. But I want them also just to have, I don't care if they're rich or super success, like have a lot of money. I want them to know how to manage money well, right? So that's one thing. I want them to know how to manage money well. I want them to have a good work ethic. I want them to be respectful of other people. I want them to also be able to stand up for themselves and say and so how do I do that? Now work back, my kids are 2, 4, 6, and 8. So I'm like, what do I start doing now to build up to that point? I feel like a lot of guys, especially around my age, aren't thinking like that. They're thinking about the golf weekend,
Right.
or whatever. But then all of a sudden they're teenagers. Then all of a sudden they're finishing high school, and they just expect things, and they're spoiled, or they have no work ethic, and
Before you know it, it's cats in the cradle and the silver spoon.
Yep.
Then they don't have time for you, and it's too late.
That is the truth. Yeah, I think with all the kids, once they hit that junior high school, you realize you're like, we have 4 years left. 4 years left with them, and then they're on their own. They're going to do their thing. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, it's very important to like take a mental note of that when you're a parent. It doesn't matter what age they are either, because you only have a limited amount of time, and they're going to be out of the house doing their own thing. So you should each and every day try to do something to make it count. Be the parent that you want to be, and be purposeful, in how you parent, instead of, because it is very easy, and I'm guilty of it. I'm sure we all are, of like going about our day-to-day lives, because we all have jobs. We're all trying to provide. So it's very easy to let that slip by. So that's something I've taken note of, after somewhat successfully raising 3 kids.
Take any victory we can get.
Yeah, exactly.
It's real easy to lose focus. You can get caught up in your job, chasing the dollar, and forget you got some offspring in the house that need some guidance, that need some love. And that can be in many, many, many different forms. It could be sitting on the couch watching TV, playing a video game, on the boat fishing, taking your daughter on a daddy-daughter date night, which we do often. Not as often as I'd like, but often as we can, because that's important.
Oh, yeah.
Especially to the girls, because if she knows how she's supposed to be treated, she won't settle for anything less.
Boom.
And you got
That's the
to
truth.
do that. Now, my daughter can't date till she's 30, but that's okay.
We'll see how that pans out.
I did tell her she couldn't date till she got her blue belt. They've been in jiu-jitsu for about a year and a half.
Nice.
Until she has her blue belt, she's not allowed to date.
That's down at Coastal Jiu-Jitsu,
Yep,
right?
Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
Kyle.
That's awesome.
Same place Dave and I roll around.
Yeah, that's awesome. As soon as she has a really good rear naked choke.
Then she can go date, but not until then. But when that first boy comes to the house, I have to get you guys over. We'll pull up bad boys.
Oh, that's a whole nother issue too. Is I think I went through. I mean, my daughter has a boyfriend now. I mean, they've been dating going on 5 years. You know, and I think every dad's like, oh, when this guy comes over, I'm gonna like show him, you know, not to mess with my daughter. And it's like you find out real quick, like that doesn't work, man. You know.
Nope.
And your daughter's gonna date who she's going to want to date. So it's like, you know, the best thing you can, like you just said, is lead by example. But like, this is how a man is supposed to be. This is how a man is supposed to treat you. And, you know, and then the boy, just the one boy she brought over is, you know, I gave him the old silent treatment for I'd say a good 2 years. Like, I'm not talking to this dude. You know, I'd be like, hey, what's up, man? But I'm like, I'm not getting to know you, man. Like,
Be cordial.
yeah. Because, I mean, first off, they were in high school. I'm like, we'll see if this even lasts. So I'm not going to take the time. But, you know, that's another mistake I made. You know, I was like, all right, like your daughter, when she brings a boy home, she wants you to approve. So as a dad, you should like get involved and get to know this individual, which I eventually have done. And he's a good kid, but it took a while.
He's a good kid. I like him.
Yeah.
So I told my mother something one day, and I'll never forget her reply. I told her, I said, y'all need to go ahead and start right now praying for that first little boy she brings home. She grabbed me by the hand. She goes, no, son, you need to be praying for that last one she brings home. That one hit me like a ton of bricks.
It's true.
Because that ain't the first one I'm worried about.
Yeah.
It's the last one.
That's the truth.
Yep. I got a dear friend of mine. His daughter had her boyfriend come over. First time she had met the parents. He had met the parents. And when they got ready to leave, Hugh took his keys out of his pocket and threw them to the boy, to his new Corvette he had down in the garage. He goes, Mr. Sawyer, you gonna let me drive your Corvette? He looked at him dead in the eyes and said, I'm letting you take my daughter. Do you think I care about the Corvette?
Mm.
Yeah.
Needless to say, she got home on time, too.
I like that one.
I like that one a lot.
We'll put that one down in the books.
Absolutely.
Dude.
No Corvette here, though. They can drive the LMTV.
Since we're on the subject of parenting, how do you like deal with today's society, with everything that they're pushing out, especially in schools, the whole woke ideology, the backwards? I mean, it just seems like everything is backwards from what we were taught when we were growing up. And, you know, I find it difficult to, you know, find that balance, I guess. I mean, especially with the electronics, the, you know, tablets, iPhones. I mean, that we didn't have that growing up. And I know if we did, we'd be in the same situation they're in.
Thank God they didn't have that growing up.
I'd probably be 10 times worse. But like, how do you find like balancing all that out and trying to still raise your kids, you know, instilling the beliefs that you have, because some of them do go against society's beliefs. So
my first reaction when all this started was to shelter them. Just keep it from them. That wasn't the right idea, because when they do get exposed to it, they're either going to be freaked out or get shocked, or they're going to have a reaction that's not what you want. So I'm going to use the word introduce. I don't really like that word, but you have to introduce them to what society is pushing. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. You got to lay that basic foundation. It's like building a house. If your slab uneven, your house is going to be uneven. So if you lay that foundation right within them, mainly by leading by example, like we discussed, then you have a much better chance, because they got those core values and they know what not to veer away from. So when we started watching TV, everything in TV is woke nowadays. You can't watch a Disney cartoon. You can't watch a sitcom. You can't do anything without seeing something on there that goes against everything that you believe in and everything you were raised by. So the best way we felt we were doing is show it to them, look at them, pause the TV. What's your reaction to that? Get them to talk to you. You don't really have to do a lot of the talking. Just get them to tell you what they think. And if it's not lining up the way you want to, then you start honing that down to where it needs to be. That burning your city down because your NFL team won or lost is not the right thing to do. Everything that Disney is promoting now is not the right thing to do, because they're pushing homosexuality, they're pushing transgender. Nothing against any of them. That's just not how I want my kids to be raised.
Yep.
And I will stand on that until the day they lay me down. I have no issues with that. There's just certain values that I want my kids to be raised by, and I will not waver from that. It's tough.
It is tough. I find it difficult. I mean, and then it goes to what you just said, right? Like with the constant, like you said, you turn on every TV show now, it's like there's multiple gay couples. It's like everybody's gay or transgender.
Even in commercials.
Introducing it, and you're just like, dude. And again, I'm like, whatever, man. If you want to be gay, you want to be transgender, that's great. Do your thing. And I don't hate you for it, but I can have my own opinion, and I can be like, nope, I don't believe in that. It's just finding, like, I feel like nowadays you have to sit there and tiptoe around, or if you just say, like, hey, I don't agree with that, you're automatically like, oh, you're ignorant, racist, bigot, whatever they want to call you. And it's like, no, dude, I just don't. I have my opinion, just like you have your opinion, that you think that that's okay. And you're like, cool, you're entitled to your opinion. Well, I should be entitled to mine, and I'm going to pass that opinion off to my children. Like, this is what we think is right, and this is what we think is wrong. And I do like that aspect of letting them see it and being like, what do you think of that? And getting their thoughts.
How does that make you feel? What's going through your mind right now?
Yeah, I definitely don't believe in sheltering them from anything.
And then, again, that was the wrong thing for me to do in the beginning, but when something bad is happening, first thing you want to do is protect.
Yeah.
Best way to protect is to cover. And that you can't do that with kids nowadays, because they're going to hear it. It's best they hear it from you.
Exactly. And I think by protecting them and sheltering them, you're inevitably just making them weaker.
You're prolonging it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure.
So it's really exposure, voluntarily. I mean, or like not
a slow exposure.
Slow exposure.
Yeah. When you get the goldfish from the fair, you got to bring it home and get it acclimated. You're not acclimating them to what society believes now, but you at least need to show them what society is pushing, so they can make that decision. Okay, that's not how I was taught. Why was I not taught that? Oh, yeah, Dad told me da-da-da-da-da-da. That's why. I don't agree with it.
Is one of, like, your main thing, it's not, someone's homosexual or someone's transgender. Is it really like this still of pushing it onto our kids, that it's not that people can do that or have their way, but it's, hey, we're trying to normalize that for your children, or we're trying to push that onto your kids. Is that?
And that's what society is doing now. Mm-hmm. And I would just kind of want to make a deal with society. Y'all raise your kids, I'll raise mine. I'm not telling you how to raise your kids. If you want to introduce your kids to the transgender and tell them that they can be man or woman, that's up to them. No, that ain't up to them. Do the old PEEP test. You got a boy and you got a girl. That's it. There is no decision making. That's my belief. That's my opinion. I don't think I should be canceled, disrespected. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm. You have your opinion. I'm not downing you for your opinion. We just simply disagree. I can't wear a red T-shirt. I don't look good in red. Does that mean you shouldn't wear a red T-shirt? No. That's your opinion. And you do look good in red, Dave.
Thank you. I was going to ask you that. Yeah. So how has that affected your business a lot, just the whole woke movement? I mean, I remember you went to a gun – I mean, you go to gun shows probably all the time, but you went to one Was it Houston or?
That was the one in Houston right after the Uvalde shooting. So they had the big NRA convention in Houston. It wasn't a week or two after the Uvalde shooting, and there were protesters. They had mannequins with blood on them. I mean, these protesters took protesting to a level that I had never seen. Things you only see on TV. Well, I got to witness it firsthand. Me and tens of thousands of my closest 2A friends. I'm good with protesting. If you want to protest, protest. But people lose sight of what guns are and what they do. They keep us a free society. What's the old saying? Sam Colt. I'm going to screw it up. God made man, Sam Colt made them equal. There we go.
There it is.
It took me a minute. But it's to keep our tyrannical government in check.
Yeah.
It's so we don't end up like
Australia.
the Ukraine, Australia, Russia, China. I mean, you can have any debate you want to about COVID-19. Nobody was screwing your doors shut so you couldn't get out like they were in China. We were still a free society, so you got to wear a mask, which I'm not even going to get into that, but we were able to go and come. We're still a free society, and we're a free society because the playing field is leveled.
Yep.
And keep the playing field level, we'll be okay.
Mm.
What happened in Uvalde was horrible. It ain't the gun's fault.
No, that's a mental sickness thing or a mental health thing that nobody wants to talk about.
Mental
it's
health,
the same
parenting.
thing with COVID. It's, to me, that's all just health that nobody wants to talk about their own health, whether physical, mental, and then they want to blame the rest of society or put it on the rest of society because they're not, physically or mentally healthy. And they're like, well, since I'm not, you have to wear this mask to protect me because this disease could affect me. And it's like, well, I understand, to a point where I'm like, yeah, but at some point it's like, where's the accountability, right? It's like, and I think that's what's lost in society as well, is like nobody wants to take accountability for anything anymore. It's like, well, it's not my fault. It's not my fault that I'm fat. It's not my fault that, I'm having issues, that I'm depressed because all I do is sit there and stare at my phone all day and troll on social media. It's like, well, no, it is your fault. There's a large percentage of it is your fault. And people don't want to hear that.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Mental illness is a sad thing. There's a lot of things in society right now that are sad. But when people ask me how I'm doing, I tell them I'm pretty good except for the problems I brought on myself.
Yeah.
So the problems you bring on yourself is the reason you're probably depressed. Get out and move a little bit. Go outside.
Do something.
Put the phone down. That's something else in parenting we don't do. We don't do electronics. My kids have a flip phone. One. Keep in mind I have 2 kids. We got one flip phone at the house that they can use. They don't need the internet. They don't need games on a phone. A phone is to make a phone call.
You'll never see your kids again. That's once they get a hold of those devices, that's it. They're entrenched in whatever the meta world or whatever they want to call it. And then to pull them out of that, to get them to do anything, it's like pulling teeth, because that is so addictive.
Got to lay that foundation.
Yeah.
And Trace even said the other day, he says, I don't think I ever want a phone. He says, I'll get in trouble with it.
Good man.
I just kind of stepped back and went, wow, I guess I did something right. and again, on the parenting thing, single parents, y'all got all my respect in the world.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're a mom, dad, brother, sister family, and it's hard. I can't imagine it just being one. Kendall and I, we do disagree. I think every good marriage does, but we work our butts off to do the things the way we should. And it's hard, full time.
Yeah.
And still have to provide.
Parenting is work.
Hardest job you'll ever love.
Yeah.
Hey, you and Kendall got married in 09?
09.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's that, 13 years, 14?
Mm-hmm. Just celebrated our number 13.
So how did y'all meet? Did y'all meet through mortgage industry? Is that what I read?
So she moved down here in 05. I came over in 05, and I was working for a local bank in the mortgage industry, and she was working at a large condo down at the base of the bridge. It was under construction, and I've always kind of shot for the moon. So I said, I want to finance that project. Well, the only way to get in there is to start meeting the people on the ground level and working your way up. So I did. And I remember the first sales meeting that I had down there, I watched her get out of her truck, all of her legs, and then the rest of her followed. And then I had to pick my jaw up off the ground and try to contain myself through that sales meeting. But 3 short years after that, we tied the knot.
Mm. How long did y'all date?
Dated for a year, a little over a year.
Okay. How long were you engaged?
A year.
Okay.
Yeah. From our first date to the day we got married was 13 months.
Wow. Nice. How about that?
Couldn't waste any time.
How'd you propose?
How did I propose, or how did I want to propose?
Both.
Something tells me you've been talking to Kendall.
I have not.
So I wanted to take her on the balcony because we had been discussing getting married and all this that. I wanted to take her on the balcony and be overlooking where we were going to have the ceremony and do the old get down on one knee and ask her to marry me. Well, that didn't work out because there was construction going on all over the back of the building. So we couldn't overlook that, so we had to go off the balcony in her office, which overlooked McGuire's in 98.
Yes.
So that's how that happened. All the romantic thoughts and everything, threw it right out the window. Wasn't going to happen.
Were you introduced to Cinnamon at that time, or did that come later?
No, I already knew Cinnamon. Cinnamon was loud and proud. Yep, I knew exactly Kendall's alter ego.
Yes. Oh, we love it.
Yep, little Margarita, and there she goes.
Yep, here comes Cinnamon.
It's funny.
You got to explain. Cinnamon.
I think Eddie does a better job.
So we get together, frequently. We got our UFC fights, New Year's Eve. We all, get together, eat,
We don't
drink.
need much of an excuse.
Nope. And we wait when we get together to when Kendall have a couple, mimosas or some champagne, and we call it Cinnamon. Her alter ego will come out, and it's a riot every time.
She gets loud, hugs, wants
Yep.
to dance. Even though there's no music, she'll still dance.
She's
has a
the
good
life of the
time.
party.
Always.
Yeah.
Do you handle alcohol the same way?
No. I have not been intoxicated in 15 years.
Wow.
Love to drink. I'll have a drink with you all day long. But once I touch my face and it doesn't feel quite like it should, I shut it down. I'll shut it down in a heartbeat. I got to be in control.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So you married Kendall. When did y'all have your first kid?
A year later,
Wow.
almost a year later, Trace, Jimmy Lee Hood III, he didn't know his name was Jimmy for probably till he was 8 years old. We never thought about telling him what his real name was. We nicknamed him Trace. Anyway, before we got married, we prayed for a boy and a girl in that order and 2 years apart. Trace was born April 15, 2010. Annabelle was born April 3rd, 2012.
Wow.
3 months later, I went to the urologist.
Yeah.
Got that taken care of.
Yeah.
That was
Two and
fun.
done.
Two and done. That's all we wanted.
Yeah.
When there's talks of adoption later on down the road, and we'll see what happens
Really?
with that. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
It'll be very interesting for the kid.
Yeah.
Very interesting for the kid.
Kendall's been real successful in real estate, right?
She is in her 18th year selling real estate. She just joined Compass Realty down on 30A.
Yeah.
And doing really well. Doing really well.
It's awesome.
Working with Andrea,
Yep.
Eddie's wife.
Shout out to Kendall Hood. Kendall Hood Collection. What is it? What is the name?
The Kendall Hood Collection.
The Kendall Hood Collection. Yeah. It's her, Andrea, Sarah.
Yep, Sarah Swoboda.
Yep. And then,
They've got a couple of new folks on the team.
yeah, I apologize for not knowing their names on here, but yeah.
Got Agnes, and I can't remember the young lady's name that she just hired.
There's a dude,
Nevin.
Nevin.
He's the
Yeah.
token male.
Yep. Poor Nevin.
Poor Nevin. Surrounded by hot women
Yeah, I
all
know,
day.
it
Poor
is.
Nevin.
Yeah.
Nevin's got it going on. He doesn't have to
does,
sell
man.
real
He's-
estate.
He's smarter than all of us. That's
Amen
for sure.
to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's doing real well. She enjoys the very thing that I can't stand. Talking to strangers.
Socializing.
Not my gig.
Yeah. Same with Andrea. That's right up her alley.
She loves it.
Yeah. Those two together, it's
Never met a
dynamic
stranger.
duo. Yeah.
Was it like having y'all being a powerhouse couple? Because both of y'all have like type A or just like really successful wives, and being successful, it's like a power couple.
Somebody's got to take up our slack.
Yeah.
It makes for a unique day. We'll have a rally in the morning. Okay, you got this, I got this. Who's getting the kids? Kids could get jiu-jitsu at 3 o'clock. Oh, wait, nope, not today. It's President's Day. All right, what about tomorrow? Our schedules, I feel like a dealer in Reno because we're trying to figure out what card needs to go where. Mm-hmm. And it's tough. It's real tough.
Yeah. Yeah, but I feel like all three of our wives, I mean, we have just go-getter wives. They're not just, hey, sit at home, do nothing. Like, they're really ambitious.
Oh, yeah. That's for sure.
To the nth degree.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Keep us on our toes.
Mm-hmm.
From the time they wake up to the time they go to bed.
It's good, though, because it pushes us to do better.
Absolutely.
And that's what you want out of a partner. Is you don't want someone that's going to just stay stagnant and be like, yeah, this is what it is. It's like you want someone pushing you, and you should be pushing them as well. And it doesn't have to be in business or whatever else. You know, it can be in other aspects of life. But each of you should bring something to the table that you're both forcing each other to grow, which is, I think that's the key to a healthy marriage.
Absolutely. And
sometimes, you know, it's not all peaches and cream. You'll butt heads at times, but that's also what makes you grow as well, is getting past those points.
Well, God said that when trouble comes your way, he didn't say if trouble comes your way, he said when trouble comes your way.
Yeah.
And Lord knows we've had our share of it. But one thing Kendall and I have been real good at is at the end of the day, we come back together. We lay the phone down, turn the TV off. We'll sit and talk a minute. May not happen every day, but we're intentional about it every time we do it. Needs to happen every day. It just doesn't like I want to.
Yeah.
Life gets in the way.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, out of those 13 years, you're still doing date nights and
Absolutely.
making that time.
Now, early, as you're probably in the section of your life now where they don't happen as often because yours are a lot younger. But it's just been here recently that we're able to leave ours at home for a couple hours and go down the road, go to the bay, go to just a close restaurant. So if they need us, we can be back in a heartbeat. But with them being in jiu-jitsu and Trace knowing firearms like we've taught him,
You're pretty safe leaving them.
he can hold his own until we get back. I'm not worried about it.
I believe it.
Not worried about it a bit.
Yeah. I think Ryan's got the same.
Yep.
You go up in his room, he's probably got like 5 sets of knives, and then he has an airsoft pistol. So I'm definitely not giving him a real pistol, but he has his whole little arsenal set up in his room just in case someone comes in. He's ready to go.
Yep. Trace has the ball bat by the door because he didn't have the safe code. He's got the ball bat by the door. He's got his blades that he's working with. So I'm not worried about anybody breaking in.
Nice.
It'd be a bad day for them.
My 4-year-old was at his grandma's house this last week, or no, sorry, not this last week, a few months ago, and is spending the night there. And she lives down in this she lives in Dallas, like right outside downtown. Which any downtown, it's like, you know how most downtowns are. It's like one street is multi-million-dollar houses, next street is like, you know, ghetto. And so
Sounds like South Walton.
yeah, it's just yeah. But he woke up in the middle of the night and he goes down into the kitchen area, and I mean their home's locked and all that stuff, but there's a big window and there's a guy like out in like the communal area just like walking around and stuff. And my mother-in-law wakes up and she goes into like the kitchen area and just sees Shepard sitting there, and he's got this big Nerf gun and he's just holding it right there. Right. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like pointing at that guy. he was guarding the house, ready to just Nerf that guy up.
He's ready to be the man.
Yeah. I loved it.
Got to
That's
protect.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some like that characteristic right there. You don't teach it.
Nope.
It's already instilled. Yeah, which is awesome.
I praised him for it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You should.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I said, "But Shep, do not go outside.
Let's stay inside. Buddy.
Go get grandma."
Get grandma first.
Here's some question I got. So you're like heavily involved in the 2A community, obviously.
Absolutely.
You go on all these trips and meet with these big wigs that are also involved in the 2A community. What do you think about, I mean, it seems like every year it's like clockwork. The government or this administration especially is always like, oh, now we're going to try and take this away from you. And then there's like big hoopla, in the 2A community, and they're like, oh, they're coming to take our guns, and, prices go up, sales go up, obviously, and then it sort of dies off, and then sure enough, the next year, like clockwork, it hits again. To me, I'm like, dude, because nothing really ever changes. We still have our guns, but there's always that threat of like, we want to take them. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you think, to me, I'm like in my conspiracy theory head half the time, I'm like, dude, are they working in conjunction with each other? Is like, are they doing this to like boost gun sales to make more money, or is it just a constant battle where they are legitimately trying to find ways to disarm us?
My answer now versus 6 months ago is different because of the things that we're seeing canceled nowadays. Kind of make you turn your head to the side and go, how are you canceling that? Why? Help me understand the basis of that. I think our gun ownership is something we're going to have to remain to fight for, till we die, because there are politicians out there that want to end it, that think that everything should be turned in. Civilians should not have weapons. Now, that's not everybody. That's not the whole left, but there are some on the left that think that way. Buttigieg is one of them. He doesn't think anybody needs to have firearms. And that blows my mind that he thinks that as he's walking around with armed security.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to keep fighting it. They're going to keep chipping away at it, like with this pistol brace thing.
Yeah.
They've allowed the ATF to make laws. Didn't know the ATF was a branch that could do that. But they've allowed them to make the laws, and now they're going to be enforcing that towards the end of May. So anywhere from 4 million to 40 million lawful gun owners that have AR pistol braces are going to be felons if they don't register their weapon.
And that is going into effect.
That went into effect January 31, and you got 120 days to get your, quote, free tax stamp, unquote. How to use the word free and tax in the same sentence, I'll never understand. But that's just one of the things. The old bump stocks that were outlawed.
Yeah.
Did I like bump stocks? No. Thought they were ridiculous. Think we should have the right to have them, but I thought they were ridiculous.
What is their argument for the pistol brace? Like,
turns it into a short-barreled rifle. So the whole NFA, the National Firearms Act, is composed of short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, in other words, anything under 16 inches, suppressors, and machine guns. Those three items make up the Class 3 dealers' the NFA items.
Yeah.
That's what you have to have the tax stamp for to own. And it's not that big a deal to get a tax stamp. But they approved something, 11 years ago, 12 years ago, with these pistol braces through SB Tactical. And they started producing them, made businesses out of them. And it's been great for the 2A community because they were designed for folks that don't have the dexterity to handle a rifle, to be able to strap it to their arm so they can control it and be safe with it. But now those are going to be outlawed. And there's not a provision for the handicapped folks that actually need them.
really?
They're just a blanket, turn them into SBRs. And it's not even a money thing because the tax
That's
stamp's
what I'm
$200.
trying to figure out. Like, what is the logic behind just banning the pistol brace? It's like, well, then why don't you just try and ban everything then?
Well, and essentially that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They got to chip away at it. So they're trying to treat us like pigs. So when you hunt pigs, you bait the field. All these pigs will come in. Then if you build just one row of fence, however long it is, the pigs will go away. But eventually they'll get used to that fence being there, and they'll come back. And when they come back and get used to it, you build the other part of the fence. So now you have an L-shaped fence. Pigs run away. They'll come back. You build the third part. Before you know it, you're caged. So they're treating us like pigs by chipping away at us.
Yeah. And that's with, I think, not just with guns. I think that's with a lot of other stuff as well.
Like our values.
Yes.
They've chipped away at them.
They're chipping away, trying to normalize everything.
And you know why they're successful at it? Because we let them.
Yeah, because people are sheep.
Absolutely.
A lot of them. Which, I mean, I don't say that. Don't say that lightly. I mean, it's been proven over the past couple of years, especially. I mean, if you want to do a study just on the amount that people want to be governed. It seems like they want the government telling them what to do, and they don't want to think outside the box. They're just tell me the headline, and I'll believe it, and I'll move on with my day without actually having to critically think on their own.
And that's a lot easier for the government to rule like they want to when you have over half of the population that depend on them.
Yeah.
And they just don't know any better because they listen to what's on the lamestream media.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on, so I know Florida is supposed to be going to concealed carry. You don't have to even apply for it.
Constitutional carry.
Constitutional carry. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm okay with constitutional carry.
Yeah.
One thing that still gets me, and some 2A people want it, is open carry.
Oh, yeah. Like, so you can have it on the outside.
Yeah.
I think that's just dumb.
I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because then you're a big target. But our Second Amendment is there for a reason. There are people that defend themselves every day with a lawfully owned firearm that never make the news. It's always the guy that gets stupid and does something that he shouldn't do that makes the news. So, Constitution carry, I'm good with that.
Yeah. I think everybody should as well. But I have a hard time, especially I think there are some people that should not have a gun.
Agreed.
I've seen them at the range with guns, and I'm like, you are the last person that should own a gun. You and I went to that concealed carry instructor course.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was probably the first time where my eyes were opened. Like, oh shit! Like, these people are teaching other people how to handle guns, and I think I left that course. I was like, dude, because before I was like, yeah, everybody should have a gun. Everybody, it's all right. But then when I left that course, I was like, well, not. And I don't want to say people can't, but I'm like, dude, there should be a standard, I think, a more stringent standard to, especially if you're going to be teaching other people how to, use firearms. But then there should be a standard too, as well. If you're going to carry a firearm, it's like, do you know how to use it? Are you comfortable with it? Because there's nothing worse than seeing someone show up to the range and they're like, oh yeah, I've shot before, and then you're like, okay, well then let me, see you shoot a mag into this, paper target, and then you watch them, and you're like, holy shit, like you don't know what you're doing with that gun.
Personal accountability.
Yeah.
People need to have personal accountability. We were talking before we started this, you were talking about you wrote a program at a young age. That blows my mind. I don't know how to do that. Not saying I can't learn, but I'm not going to jump in and start a program writing business if I don't know how to do it. Just because you have the ability or the authority to own a gun doesn't mean you have the ability to use it.
Yeah.
And I do not know how to implement this. It would take me years to even remotely put a program together, but constitutional carry, yes, I agree. But you need to have some sort of standard to learn to operate that weapon too.
Yeah.
Anybody can carry a gun. Anybody can pull a trigger. Anybody can shoot anybody. The trouble starts after you pull that trigger because you can't take the bullet back. That's what people don't understand is the responsibility behind carrying a loaded firearm.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is.
That's a lot. Personal accountability. You should know what you don't know. And I pride myself on that. If you don't know how to use it, don't carry it. Learn how to use it, then carry it. All about you carrying. All about teaching you to carry it. But you got to know how to use it.
Yeah. And like you said, I've been sort of banging my head against the wall trying to figure out how to, make that work or put that into words where like, yes, I want everybody to carry, but there should be a standard because I know people get up in arms or like, oh, now, you're saying I can't have a gun now. It's like, not saying that. I'm saying that there should be some kind of law, or like it's like, okay, you're going to own a firearm. This is the course that you will go through so you can carry
Right.
every day. And that way we know if you are going to use it that you're not just going to be spraying and praying and hitting whoever out there. Like, you're going to be accountable for every bullet that comes out of your gun.
I have my construction license, and every 2 years I have to do continuing education. I have not done, I mean, I have, but most people don't do any continuing education after they get their concealed weapons permit.
Yeah, that's
There-
what I
there should
figured.
be an every 2 year, hey, you need to come down, you need to score 45 out of 50.
Mm-hmm.
You need to do something. A friend of mine went to drop his mag the other day out of the weapon that he carries. Wouldn't come out because it was rusted. And I looked at him. I was like, what? How did your mag get rusted into your gun? Well, I carry it every day. When's the last time you shot it? It's been a while.
Yeah, or maintained it.
Everything. You need to learn all of that. It goes to the personal responsibility.
Yeah.
Did they
And-
teach that in the concealed carry class? Because when I took it back in Texas, I don't remember. I mean, I remember a day of just some like, here's some laws around it. Here's like carrying it between states, but then it was like, all right, and like here's guns. Let's just shoot a couple into a target and give us your money, and you got it.
It's gotten a lot simpler, and I don't like that word, to get a concealed weapons permit now. It used to be a 3-day class. I remember mine vividly because on the second day of class was my 21st birthday. So I was able to do the class, get my permit, and start carrying. But we had 2 days in the classroom, and then the last day was on the range. We shot a box of shells on the range. You need to know what your weapon feels like after it goes bang. You need to know what to do with it. After, if you do have to use it, where do you put it? There's a litany of things that you should learn, and a lot of people don't because it's not taught.
You know, where you don't point it, where you don't put your finger on the trigger.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I found, when we went and did that course, I mean, a lot of the focus was on laws around, like, if you do have to use it, this is what you should do afterwards. And it was, like, heavily focused on that. But to me, I'm like, dude, we should be focusing on the beforehand. Like, you should know how to use it so you won't be in trouble legally afterwards. You know what I mean? And it just to seem like there wasn't a lot of emphasis put on that.
Right.
And then obviously we went to the range. I think we shot like
We shot 50 rounds.
50 rounds
That was it.
at a 10-meter target.
Mhm.
And it was like, they're like, yeah, ominous dominance, you're good. And then there were some people that failed it.
what I was about to say.
Twice. And they still they're like, all right, you're good. And I'm like, dude, this guy can't even hit 10 meters twice. I was like, dude, maybe recycle him and give him some extra training. I mean, yeah, he paid the money, but that doesn't mean he should get the certificate.
Anybody can pay the money.
Yeah.
Not everybody can use
That's
the
what
firearm.
standards are for.
Right.
Yeah.
I know this is when we had our jiu-jitsu guy come out here and do that retreat, we went and shot with Eddie. So like two hours, maybe 2.5 hours shooting. In those 2.5 hours, like I'll never shoot the same again. Like I learned more in that 2.5 hours of just basics. Like it was nothing complicated, but it was the basics, and it was just the way that Eddie trained us with drilling, how he drilled it, like how we drilled it and how like the drills progressed. Like, I mean, literally I think of if I pulled today of like pulling, like it, now I need to practice it, right? Like I need to continue practicing and going out and shooting, but it was infinitely more helpful than the concealed handgun permit.
I'll tell you something else about that. You could go to the range with him again. He could give you those same instructions, and you'll pick up twice as much.
Yep.
You're never too big and bad to take a remedial course.
Yeah.
I would take a beginner course in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean,
just to hammer it in.
everything revolves around the basics.
Yep.
And I think people have this thought in their mind, especially when they think of, special forces or special operations community. They're like, oh, you guys do all this like sexy shit with the guns. And yeah, we do get to that level to where we're doing stuff at night, on night vision. But what they don't know is the thousands and thousands and thousands of hours that are spent monotonously doing the basics over and over and over again. And that's what allows you to progress into some, to start doing
100%.
cooler shit. But it's like you should not be progressing forward until you've hammered down those basics to where they're second nature, and I whatever, call it lizard brain training or whatever, but that's how the point you should get to before you're like, oh, now I want to like run and gun and shoot, move, and communicate. Yes, you should want to get to that point, but you cannot get there until you can handle your weapon second nature without thinking about it. You know what I mean?
Quit watching John Wick and go to the range.
Yeah, exactly.
Life is not John Wick. But it goes to the old adage, you gotta crawl before you run.
Yep.
Crawl before you walk. You got to know how to do that well before you move to the next step, just like jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow morning, we'll come in here and we'll do stuff that we've done hundreds of times. And we're going to keep doing it until we get it.
Well,
That's part of it. It's what you're supposed to do.
then you'll have little moments where you're like, hey, like I did something right and I didn't even think about it.
Yep.
Like that's a win.
So keep
Like,
doing that.
Yeah.
As you're
Over
getting
and
choked
over
out,
again.
you're like, hey, it's a win.
And again, talking about getting choked out, teaching people what happens so you don't get into legal troubles after the fact. Go through everything that should be there. What's the best defense to a rear naked choke? Don't get in it.
No.
What's the best defense in a firearms?
Don't get into a firefight.
Don't get in it.
Yeah.
Try to avoid it.
Yeah.
There was a saying that I heard one time that says, if you think you need a gun to go somewhere, or you wouldn't go somewhere without a gun, you probably shouldn't go there at all.
That's the God honest truth.
Stay away from it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are situations where you're like, okay, like I was just in Broward County this last week doing some work with Phil DeRue and then some Broward County SWAT guys. But I went down there and it's in a rough part of the neighborhood, and I was like, oh, I assessed it right when I drove in. I'm like, yep, I'm carrying here. Like, that's just the neighborhood I'm in. But I mean, I don't conceal carry all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, okay, if I'm in a pretty permissive environment, I'm like, I can chill. But I assess where I'm at, and I'm like, yeah, I do see something could happen here. So then I'll have it on me.
I wake up, get my shower, get dressed. As soon as my belt goes on,
Oh, I know. Yeah,
Gun goes
Jim's
in it.
always got the heater on him.
always. I went to my mother's house the other day for a family reunion. That's the only place we were going. Put my gun on.
You don't trust your mom.
I don't even think about it. Trust my mom implicitly. I don't even think of. I need to eat.
Think
Mom.
fast, Jim.
The meatloaf. The meatloaf is cold. It's just habit, second nature.
Yeah.
One of those things.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I think about it logically, I'm like, hey, it'd be smart to carry just period. Like and especially you get an ultralight, in there that I have a SIG that's like, it's thin too.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just carries really well. I don't carry almost ever, but like I should. Right? Like I think about it, I'm like, man, I should. Because you never, like, it's going to be the situation that you didn't think you were supposed to, and you're at a gas station pump or whatever, right? And I would want to protect myself, protect family, protect other people as well.
Yep.
Like if something was going down. I mean, it'd be the last thing I'd want to do.
None of us
shoot
want to.
one.
I mean, that's. I don't wake up going, man, I sure would like to squeeze one off today. No. Pray every day I don't have to. But if I need to, it's going to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to train enough to where I know the bullet's going to go where I need it to go.
Oh, yeah.
No more, no less.
It's the same premise with learning jiu-jitsu.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Although I like jiu-jitsu is more therapy for me than anything else. I'm addicted.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Dave and I'll get to rolling. We'll get down a rabbit hole. What if this? What if that? And we'll roll for an hour and a half.
When you first started jiu-jitsu, I mean, like, still, it's not even when you first, like, I've been in it 9 months now. And when I go to sleep at night, like, I'm thinking through, I'm like, well, if I hook the leg there, and Like, I mean, it just is kind of almost always a default in the back of my mind now. It's like chess in a sense. I think that's
It
the
is
thing
chess.
that really excited me about jiu-jitsu. That, I mean, from the first time he did a trap and roll, Kyle did a trap and roll on me. He's like, now you try and do it on me, and I can't. And then he just flips me, and he's, I don't know, 140 pounds.
Soaking wet, 140 pounds.
And he just,
5'9",
yeah. And you're what,
6'2", 210.
Yeah,
And
and
he treats me like I'm nothing.
I mean, it's insane.
It really got my attention when he could make me do anything he wanted me to do. And I'm like, I need to know how to do that.
Oh.
That was awesome.
Oh.
2.5 years later, here we are.
You feel like you've grown a lot in the last 2.5 years in jiu-jitsu?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Have you just done privates the whole time?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I'll do the occasional open roll because you can get used to a certain body type. And I don't want to get used to a certain body type. I need to get used to all of them. So the open roll I like a lot. I don't get to do it as much as I would like to.
Yeah.
I'll be doing it more now because hunting season closed yesterday, so
Snap.
Saturday's just opened up.
You think about doing any tournaments?
No desire to compete.
No?
No, I don't care about points. I don't care about any of that.
I think I might. There's a couple coming up.
I know.
I'm going just for, I want to go just for the experience and the pressure, I guess, of like going to, roll in front of a crowd or whatever. And I mean, I really don't, you care about points. I want to win, but I want to go just for that, the experience of it.
You got yourself a sponsor.
Yeah. All right, there we go.
Let's go.
I want the
Elevated
challenge
sound.
too. I'm in with you.
Yeah.
It's the challenge of it. I don't, now they get me in an arm bar or something, I'm going to tap, right? Like, I
absolutely.
can't be like armless for.
We're not young anymore, gentlemen.
No. Tap early, tap often.
We're not young anymore.
Yeah. But it is that, I mean, when we're rolling, even open rolls or whatever, like even when we've rolled, Eddie, it's like we're going 50%. And also a lot of times while we're rolling, we'll kind of stop and be like, hey, do this, or like give each other like feedback and advice.
Mm-hmm.
But just in a competition sense, it's like, okay, this is it. Like, this is 100%. Like,
Well, I think it'll be a lot different than like what we do now. We go drill, and then you spend a good 45 minutes of rolling. And like you said, usually you're like, hey, 50-50, but
Set the tempo.
I'll match your aggression. If you want to amp it up, then I'll match it. But, you're really not going 100%. But I think at tournaments, they're probably like, you're going to go 100% because of the adrenaline and just the environment that you're in.
I'd like to see you in a competition.
Me too.
In a
I will
full-on jiu-jitsu
hopefully, either this year at some point or the December, I think I'm shooting for. There's one being held here. I saw a flyer for it. So, and again, I'm just going for the experience, and that's the way I've been looking at jiu-jitsu as well. Because I've been doing it around the same time, about a year. I'm not going for the belts, right? I'm going because it's therapeutic. I definitely do go in there a drill. I try and learn, but I just feel like $1 million afterwards. Each and every time I can go there in the worst mood, and especially most of the time because it's at the place I go, the classes aren't till 7 at night, so you're waiting all day long to go get it on. By the time you get there, you're a little frustrated, but afterwards I'm like, dude, I'm so glad I went. And
I don't see your matches going the distance. I see you ending it quick.
oh, there's some guys, I don't know, there's some dudes out there that are pretty legit, but we'll see. I have learned that, and I'm about as vanilla as you can get in jiu-jitsu. I'm whitest of the white, but I do think that
That's racist, Eddie.
it is. Apologize for all the crackers out there. I think that obviously strength does have some stuff to do with it, but then your gas tank is huge, and I have a pretty good gas tank, so like that's what I think saves me a lot of the times. Especially going with skilled guys that know what they're doing, as long as I'm strong enough to hold them off from choking me, and then sort of waiting for that moment to where they're like, yeah, you're out of breath, and now I'm going to turn it on. But I don't think you're going to have that ability in tournaments because I think it's for time, right?
Was it 10-minute?
I think it's 5.
5 minutes?
But I could be wrong.
I mean, I've watched a lot of them on YouTube, and I went to Kyle's last tournament. I think it varies depending on
Belt.
age group, belt.
Yeah.
On your belt thing, one of the Gracie said it perfectly. He said that belt only covers up 2 inches of your ass.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's true.
That's it.
Well, I'm going to go and I'm going to videotape it. And if any of y'all want to see it, I'll sell it to you for like $4.99.
$4.99.
No.
Get the annual subscription for $12.
Yeah. Unless you get beat, then I won't.
Yeah, then we won't show it.
That's where you learn everything.
That is true.
It is.
I don't like leaving, like our sessions, I don't like leaving being the one who did the submission. I want to leave in a little bit of pain. I want to leave with my arm somewhere it shouldn't be.
Well, what's interesting with me and you, though, like when I started literally 8 months ago, right? And I've been through the combatives and now like getting close to a blue belt in 9 months. And I did the same thing probably as you did. We're entrepreneurs. We're like, we think through things and don't adhere to like, hey, this is the exact path. It's like, okay, here's the path everyone else is taking. What are the main points along this path? And it's like, and so we're street smart in that sense. And so I literally, as soon as that first day when I left Kyle's that morning, I think I came right after you.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember that first day you showed up.
And I was like, you know what? Like, dadgummit, I can't afford this right now, like in time. Like I mean, my schedule's packed. So how do I fit this in, and how do I grow at the fastest rate with like, every hour that I do it, I'm getting the most out of it. And so I looked at the way that they have classes structured and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, you have to fit into their time slot. And then that day, whatever they're teaching may or may not be what you're really needing to learn or what you're really working on. And you just kind of like hopscotch it, right? And I mean, the good thing is, I mean, privates, it's expensive, right? And so like if
An investment.
If money, it is. And if time is more, if you're in a place of life where time is a lot more valuable than, money in that sense, then you can schedule it in a way. And so I did exactly, I'm like, okay, Kyle's an incredible teacher. He's incredible at jiu-jitsu, right? Yep. He's not the best jiu-jitsu dude in the world, but he's really good.
Absolutely.
And he is incredible teacher. He's got a gift at teaching jiu-jitsu, and he's just got just a heart and a work ethic for it, of getting after it. And so I was like, okay, so I'm like, Kyle, I'm fixing to put him on the payroll. I started trying to work on him of like, hey, what's your vision? And, with the gym and everything. And, but really started setting out. And now, especially now that we have our group of guys that we can come in the mornings, we're all about almost same level. I mean, you and James are higher, but we can roll with different guys. We can get after it and just optimize it. So our time is more growth.
Right.
Because that's one of the biggest things, just getting the most out of that time. And I still don't think the current like jiu-jitsu schools with big classes is the best way to like grow in jiu-jitsu necessarily. Open roll helps. You kind of need a variety.
Right.
But that private instruction around it and having some different guys around the same level, that's why I really like the retreat model. Right. Where you have a retreat and if you can get guys around the same level that are all certainly working on the same thing and bring them in for, and just have that dedicated 3 days, 4 days to it is awesome. Have you been to a jiu-jitsu retreat yet?
I have not, but I got excited thinking about rolling for 4 days straight.
Oh,
it'd be fun.
It was so cool.
We're planning on doing one here, right?
Yep.
That's Dave's setting that up.
Yeah. Uh-oh. I've been working on it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
We did a trial run for 2 days. Brought Mason Fowler in. Mm-hmm. He's going to be in here in a couple weeks, and so you'll get to meet him.
Let's do it.
But I when I did the retreat out there, I mean, you have 4 days where you're journaling, you're thinking about, you have nothing, like food's prepared for you. I mean, it's like a kid. And so you're sitting there, and it gives you some time to also like think through life stuff. And, I worked on mission statements and stuff like that. And then you have 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening. And you think, oh, only 4 hours, and you have the whole day. But, dude, 4 hours of jiu-jitsu is a lot of jiu-jitsu.
Taxing, very taxing.
Yeah.
That's when you learn how big your gas tank is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick.
I had that, and I was brand new. I was like 3.5 months in when I went to it. And there was a couple girls in that class that I was like, oh, my God. Like I can't, and they were, I think she was purple belt or something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. Then I survived it and did not get, when I rolled with them, I did not get tapped out. I didn't tap them out either, but like surviving at that time was like a total win. If I survived something, I had this really killer purple belt that I survived a minute with. Right? That, I mean, by the end of that minute, he had my back, and I'm 2-on-1 trying to just breathe. But
you made it a minute.
I made it a minute, so I'm like, win.
Next time, make it a minute 15.
Yeah, little victories.
Next time, minute and a half.
Caught a blue belt in a Kimura, so I was like, win. Like, absolutely.
That feels good.
Oh,
love it. I've rolled with one female, and it was different because, like, if I was rolling with you guys, I'll cram my hand somewhere and try to get your arm. I couldn't do that with her. I was scared I was going to.
Yeah.
That was just.
I have the same issue. And I'm not, I feel like I'm not trying, being sexist or like, I think
No, it's
women,
been respectful.
Yeah. I just have it instilled in me when, if I do go roll with a female, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to sit here and tune you up or like go hard. I'm like, all right. And I'll, just let them work through what they want to work through when they're rolling with me. And I can tell some of them are a little butthurt because they're like, oh, you're treating me like, I'm not a true opponent, but I'm like, you're a woman, dude. And I'm sorry, but that's instilled in me. I'm not going to like go hard.
We're equal, but different.
Yeah. But it's just, that's my issue. There's other people, I got buddies that are like, dude, if she wants to roll, I'm going to destroy her and let her know. And I'm like, okay, that's your deal.
Well, I think it's good for them because chances are if they're attacked, they're going to be attacked by a big, strong guy.
Yeah.
So that my daughter rolls with my son. He's twice her size. She gives him a fit, but I want her to roll with somebody that can totally decimate her so she knows what it feels like. If she's ever attacked, it's not going to catch her off guard. It's going to be like, oh, I know what to do here, and just work through it.
Yeah.
But my thing, I didn't want to go for an arm bar and have to go for an underhook and catch something that I didn't need to catch on the way in. Yeah. It's just a respect thing for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've racked you, and when we're rolling, we've all been racked where we're rolling. It's not a big deal. We're dudes.
Yeah.
It's different when the female persuasion is there, and you got to be respectful about it.
Yeah, and I don't trust my Neanderthal tendencies. I mean, I really, it's, you end up, like, even when I'm rolling with other dudes, you're like, oh, I'm going to go soft or 50-50, and then, it starts building up, and then eventually you're like, I'm doing things where I don't know what my own strength or, like, going full retard pretty much. So, like, okay, I got to reel it back a little bit. But, yeah, I don't want to get in that position with them.
People have a tendency with you of, like, you're like, hey, 50-50,
oh,
and they have a tendency to just, like,
they
go roll hard with you.
Yeah.
If you're going to roll hard with somebody, how about not picking a retired SEAL to do that with?
I mean, I get it. There's people show up and they're like, oh, okay, either they know who I am or they're like, they knew my past job. So I think they feel like they have to amp it up with me or like, all right, I'm going to go, this guy's going to give it to me, and I tell them, I'm like, dude, let's just chill and do a nice roll. But inevitably, yeah, you get the guys that show up that either want to prove something or they just think for some reason like I'm going to go 100%. And yeah, I mean, but you know what? Those are all good things too for me because I'm like, cool. Like I said, I'm going to match your aggression each and every time. But I want to be chill. Like, let's just start off chill. And then if you want to take it somewhere else, we'll take it.
In my old age, I've learned the only thing I got to prove is I want to go home in the same condition I arrived.
Exactly. and I want to be
That's
able to. I want to be able to roll tomorrow.
Yes.
That's my key. I'm like, dude, I want to keep doing this every day. So
Sit on the toilet without having to do a controlled fall.
yeah, and you get, I've had people put me in some moves, and you're like, cool, I tap. I'm like, and then they sort of look at you, like, I can't believe you tapped. I'm like, well, yeah, dude. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and let you crank on my arm. I'm like, I probably might be able to get out of it, but I guarantee you, like, I'm gonna feel it tomorrow and not gonna be able to perform the way I'm performing today. So yeah, I'm gonna tap. And that's the best advice I got was tap early, tap often, and then just keep rolling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Agree with that 100%.
Once as you grow in skill, like Eddie's got, and Eddie is really good at keeping center mass on you, like as you roll. Like he has such good pressure and pins. Like it's like even with us, I've had a lot more probably private instruction than you. But, like, his pressure and center, like, he keeps a real good center mass on you. And it's tough. I mean, trying to flip him?
Mm-hmm.
Tough. Like, trying to do an elevator sweep, a sweep of any sort with Eddie. He's just got real good base.
That's about it.
But
I've
Eddie,
only rolled with you once, haven't I?
I think so. Yeah,
Early
we did
on.
it at
At Kyle's place.
Kyle's, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we definitely got to get some more rolls here. We can do it here
I was
in the
gonna say.
office. We got the mats.
We know a guy.
Yeah,
I know.
I usually I meet Cash down here on Sundays.
guy.
Usually, we sit here for an hour and a half and do no gi, whatever. He's training to go into the cage, so we'll do stand up as well. But yeah,
You caught a black eye
oh
a
yeah,
couple weeks ago.
he got me with a good knee.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
It was a knee.
well, I was going down for a takedown, and it was my own dumb fault. Instead of, keep your head up, not look down. And when I was going for the takedown, his knee came up and smacked me in the eye. And it was, he wasn't trying to knee me in the eye. It just happened. It's part of the gig. I was
That's
like,
jiu-jitsu.
all right, let's just keep going.
I went home limping, broke finger, broke toe, black eye, bloody nose. That's how you
Yeah.
know you're training.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a decent shiner. That was there.
Yeah.
That was good that was there for about a week.
I like it.
Yeah. Hey,
When we were at the ranch, we rolled every day. My lip just freaking healed from Robert busting it when we were there.
yeah.
But we got to you would have, man, next time we do that,
Oh, you're definitely coming.
Jim would have been, you would have appreciated way more than me and Eddie even.
We went and hunted all morning, early morning, then rolled all afternoon, and then went back and hunted in the evening.
Yeah.
So y'all went to heaven. That's what you're telling
It
me.
was awesome. Yeah,
Y'all died and went to heaven.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what I'm
It was
talking
a
about.
good man trip.
Yeah.
Where where do you see Elevated Silence going?
So I had said earlier, knowing what I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
One of those things that I learned that I didn't know is I don't know distribution. I don't know sales. And I underestimated that. So I have brought on a friend of mine, David Kramer, to come in and head all that up. I made him a partner in the company, and he is going to – we got our separate duties. I'm going to make the cans. I'm going to get them here, get them all packaged up. He's going to do the distribution and the sales portion of that, which is something that I have not had since I've started the company. Mm-hmm. So in the next 24 months, you're going to be seeing a lot of us everywhere.
Good.
We're about to go no holds barred.
So you're going to hold the distribution side too? Like, are you going to?
Dave is going to work with Silencer Shop and Lipsy's and go through the distribution there. And he's going to be doing the setups of all the shoots that we go to, because some of them are good, some of them are a waste of time. It's just part of it. Mm-hmm. But he is going to handle all that. He's essentially going to be telling me how to sell. And I'm good with that. I need that. I forgot how to sell stuff.
Well, and dude, honestly, for in 6 years, you started a manufacturing company. Like that's not easy. That's really difficult, right? And got it. Just the fact that 6 years and the company still like it survived.
Right.
Any company, but like a manufacturing company especially, like you're good at making silencers, right? Not necessarily, not that you couldn't be good at distribution and sales, but like if you want to stay in this lane and then, bring in the distribution and sales on another side.
Have to.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it? we'll delegate and then also empower people to win what they're strong in. If it's like, yeah, that's not my strong suit, this is yours, let's do this.
Oh.
You know,
DK is excellent at what he does. I'm very fortunate to have him on the team to do that same thing he's done with his current company for us. So there's not a doubt that it's gonna do well.
where can people find Elevated Silence?
www.elevatedsilence.com. Call me up if something you want is not on the site. Site needs a little work. Working on somebody to come do it the way we want it done.
Yeah, social media.
Social media. Don't know the handles because I'm not a social media guy.
I love it.
Just look up Elevated Silence. You'll find us.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome. If I'm just a regular dude going, hey, I want a silencer,
Call me.
What's the process?
Call me. We'll discuss it. Fingerprints, passport photos. I need some time on the application with you. You got to answer some questions, and we submit everything electronically.
What's kind of the price range for a silencer?
You go from the 22 suppressors, which are around $400, to our 338 can is around $1,600.
Okay. Not bad. I was expecting a lot more. I was like,
mean,
$16K?
If you want to pay more, we'll be more than happy to let you. I don't mind that a bit.
Dave's a perfect customer.
I like it.
Yeah.
You can win them all of them.
I would be the sucker, right? I'd be like,
You gotta start calling them suppressors first, though.
They are suppressors. They're not silencers.
got ya. Gotcha.
Nothing is silent.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man, for coming on the podcast with us.
Guys, I appreciate the
Dude.
invite. This was awesome.
Oh, always a good time being with you, brother. Like
Appreciate
I said,
you, man.
you're one of my favorite human beings, man. I just love hanging with you.
I love y'all. Y'all are great.
Awesome. Out.
All right, we're out. We want to thank everybody for listening in on this episode of Shoot Me Straight. If you enjoyed this episode or any other episodes we have put out, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel.